Alrighty, this is going to be a response video. However, there's going to be something different about this one. Namely, you'll notice in the description there is no original video posted as a source. The reason for this is because this guy, well, he's a kid. He's like 12 years old or something. I don't know, he's young, he's a kid. He made a video to prove why consoles are better than the PC, but he has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. He is immensely misinformed. He has absolutely no grasp of the discussion. However, as I watched his video when I stumbled across it, I'm not going to say it's necessarily his fault. Like I said, he's super young, and the points that he makes, they're just based on ignorance. He doesn't know. He hasn't been told. He hasn't looked into it. The points themselves, well, they're pretty obviously wrong. And I think they're good points to go over. They're very basic, very obvious. But like I said, he's like 12 years old. There's no link in the description to the original video. That's by design. I don't want you looking for this video. I don't want you, if you find it, to post links about it. I don't want you to spread it. I don't want you to go to his video and dislike it. If you leave a comment, it better be constructive and supportive. I don't want you looking for this video. You have absolutely no reason to, because it's here in its entirety. If you stumble across it like I did, and you go there just to leave a dislike or write a nasty comment, then do us both a favor and stop watching my videos and unsubscribe. It's one thing when you go after adults or teenagers or corporate slaves or people itching for a fight online trying to stir up trouble. People who spread lies, who tell untruths knowingly. But this video wasn't made in mala fides. It's just some kid on the internet telling us what he thinks he knows. Got that? Understand? Fantastic. Magical.
Hey guys, I'm back, and today I'm going to be giving you reasons why consoles are better than PCs. Now everyone in my school, I'm the only one in my class who prefers consoles.
That's weird. Normally it's the other way around. Normally when people are really young, they don't know much about the PC. They're used to growing up with consoles.
And everybody in my class are like, what's wrong with you, man? Yeah, PCs are better. But today I'm going to prove that wrong and say that consoles are better. Now, let's start with the first reason. The first reason is that consoles have bigger screens. So,
It's understandable how people naturally associate consoles and televisions and PCs and monitors. Almost everybody plays their console on a television, but there's nothing stopping you from using the same monitors that your PC uses. In this respect, consoles and PCs are almost equal. Both consoles and the PC uses either televisions or monitors. No matter what you have, it'll work with both. Now, does this mean that they are equal? Well, in one sense, yes, but fully, not so much. While both can use both, gaming monitors, which come at a wide variety of different price points depending on what you find important or what your budget is, allow you to more fully recognize your PC's potential than a television does. You don't gain that much at all using a fancy schmancy gaming monitor if you plug it into a console, or plug the console into it. Almost all televisions run at 60 Hz. That means that they will do 60 FPS display maximum. For consoles, this is fine. Most of the games on console don't even run consistently at 60 FPS. It's far from the industry standard. That means your television is not going to hold back your console. However, if you hook a PC up to a TV, which is completely doable, there's nothing unusual or strange about it, you're probably not going to be able to realize the full potential that your PC hardware can give you. Response times on televisions are normally way longer than on monitors. They also won't display nearly as high FPS. My monitor, for instance, goes to 144 FPS. I would be wasting the potential of what my monitor could display if I put a console with it. Plus, sitting closer to the image of a monitor when playing a PC will allow you to really appreciate the visuals when you're up close, because that's how eyes work. Depending on the size of the screen and how far you sit away from it, your eyes won't be able to distinguish as much or appreciate as much of the image, whereas if you were sitting closer.
Playing in a bigger screen is better than playing in a small monitor like this.
Well, it depends on how big the monitor is, and it depends on how far away from it you are. That's why you can sit 50 feet away from a movie screen and see everything fine. But if you sit 50 feet away from your TV, it won't work out so well. PC monitors are normally smaller than the average television, but you sit much closer to them. It depends on how much of your vision they take up. But remember, the smaller the screen, then the smaller the objects on the screen too.
Rather than like a huge TV. That's going to be much better. And second of all, with the PCs, you just sit in the chair like that.
Unless, of course, you don't want to. You can play a PC while sitting on the couch or lounging wherever you wish. For instance, Steam has a big picture mode that works, well, it's designed to work with a controller. Did you know that you could use the PlayStation 4's DS4 controller, basically, with the same functionality you can use a Steam controller with? In fact, I have a PlayStation 4 controller right here. I use it every once in a while as a novelty because trying to aim with this damn thing is wank. But yeah, Steam Big Picture Mode, it works just in the same way that a dashboard on a console would. It's functional, and of course you can always go back to the regular Steam. And you can change between the two with just a couple clicks of the mouse.
Like, the PCs affect your eyes.
Everything does.
And that is so bad. But when you play with consoles, you sit back in your couch, and then it doesn't come too close to you. But rather than PCs, you're so close to the screen that it's just really bad.
Again, it's how big the screen is, how bright it is, and how close you are to it. I like the size monitor that I have. It sits in front of me, it's about an arm's length away from my face, it's about 27 inches, and it gives me a good field of view and lets me see a large amount of things going on at once. Normally, people's focus is primarily on the center of the screen. That's where the shooting happens, that's where your character is, that's where things go down. As for everything else, well, peripheral vision takes care of that. It allows me to see more. It allows me to adjust my field of view to see more of the world and respond to it as I need to. The same thing applies to large televisions depending on how close you're sitting to it. Most of your attention will be at the middle of the screen, and if something happens elsewhere, then you'll see it with your peripheral vision. One of the big differences, though, is that since I have a monitor that runs at 1440p, which is what I run all my games on, and since my monitor is 27 inches and it's about an arm's length ahead of me, it allows me to, since I'm sitting so close to it, see things with more clarity that on a TV you just wouldn't get. The higher hardware of a PC lets me put this monitor to good use. It's a high-end gaming monitor. It's used to being ran with a PC that can quote-unquote keep up with it. You don't need that kind of fidelity so much on a console, especially because you're normally sitting, 6-7 feet away? Maybe more?
Now, if you're a huge gamer, you're like, who cares, man? But I'm not like a huge gamer. I play for like 3 hours in the weekend. That might be a lot, but it's not in my personal opinion.
Yeah, that's not.
And yeah. And number two is that there is no multiplayer in the PC. Like, imagine your friend is coming over and it was like, cool, you got a PC. But imagine just sharing it like, my turn, my turn, my turn. Not with consoles. You have two controllers that you can play at the same time, rather than waiting for your turn, and that's just annoying.
When it comes to local cooperative games, the PC has an extensively long list of selections to choose from. You can go to cooptimus.com to get a list of what they have there. You can search by system and what kind of co-op, be it couch co-op or split screen or what have you. And a lot of big name titles are supporting split screen more and more now as well. And some PC games with multiplayer don't even launch with it when they go to consoles. But going to Cooptimus, if you go into their list and you sort by all the necessary filters, then we can take a look at the numbers. The Xbox One has 28, the PS4 has 37, and the PC has 58. The Xbox 360 had 157. On consoles, split-screen games and local co-op games are unfortunately going the way of the dodo. This is something that I really dislike about consoles now. I grew up as a console gamer, and all my friends had consoles as well. We played split-screen all the time, going to a friend's house and playing Halo or Call of Duty. Rainbow Six, Left 4 Dead, we had an immense amount of fun trying to get through Halo games on Legendary, or trying to kill all the terrorists in Rainbow Six Vegas 2. Those were some of the most fun gaming moments that I've had, ever. And it's really sad to see this stuff kind of be phased out in modern consoles. I mean, the last Halo didn't even have split screen. I mean, that's awful. If I had to recommend a console to get to play local multiplayer games, then I would say just get an Xbox 360. They're cheap and you could buy pretty much any game you want for nothing now. But just going to Steam, let's say Rocket League for instance, it lists on the right hand side the different features it has, such as local split screen. This is either like couch co-op or hot seat or actual split screen, what have you. If you go to the list of Steam games, you can see there are a great deal of games that allow you this option. And if you go into the PC Gaming Wiki, you can get a huge list of local multiplayer games that is extensive beyond measure. These are versus, they're co-op, controller supported, not controller supported, different platforms, because of course you have Windows, you have Linux, you have Mac. There are far more local multiplayer games on the PC. It's just one of those things that doesn't pop up a lot. I have a lot of fond memories of playing hot seat games as well with friends. My friend had a laptop and we would play Worms World Party on it. We would play Civ 4, swapping every turn. Because local co-op or local versus, it isn't just split screen. But the notion that the PC doesn't have an extensive list of local co-op games or local multiplayer games, that's just a claim that's really easy to debunk.
Now let's talk about the keyboard versus the controller. The controllers are like 100,000 times better than the keyboards. Look, the keyboards have all those buttons. 1, 2, 3. Like they have all those letters, all those letters, all those numbers. This is not with consoles. The consoles only have 4 buttons. That's it, 4 buttons.
Yeah, controllers are wank, but I mean, don't sell them that short.
The next reason is nearly linked, but
Now let's go back for just a second. On PC, you can use both controllers and the mouse and keyboard. Like I said before, the PlayStation 4 DS4 controller functions pretty much identically to a Steam controller. But the mouse and keyboard offers a wide variety of advantages. On PC games, you have the ability to rebind keys in pretty much any way that you want with your peripherals. The sheer number of buttons allows for an amount of functionality that simply does not exist on the consoles either. For instance, in games like Arma 3, there are 9 different positions in which your character... No, 9. Then there's 2 on the side, so there's 11 ways for your character to position themselves, either lying or crouching or standing or anything in between. There's so much equipment to go through and different hotkeys that activate different this or do different that. You just couldn't have that on a controller. Real-time strategy games, I can't imagine playing StarCraft on a controller. Strategy games like Civilization, I can't imagine playing that on a controller as well. It would be so clunky and inferior to being able to just point and click at what you need to do. We of course have the tried and true first-person shooter example, which are superior on the mouse because of its unparalleled levels of precision over having thumbsticks, and the inherent auto-aim and even bullet magnetism found in some games. Both of which are compensation for the input you're using, the controller. Some people find controllers better for driving, or maybe for platforming, and that's all up to personal preference. But really all that means is that's why the PC is better in that regard, because you can have and use both as you see fit. You can't go from using a mouse and keyboard in Overwatch, per se, and then pick up your controller and start playing Grand Theft Auto to drive about.
imagine you're playing a really, really important game like, I don't know, Call of Duty.
Ah yes, the most important of games.
And like imagine R in the keyboard is like R is to shoot.
I can't imagine a scenario in which the R button would be shoot. For some strange reason, if you did buy a shooter game or a game that involved shooting and R was the shoot button, PC gaming allows you the advantage of being able to change your key bindings to whatever your preferences are. You can make the spacebar shoot, you can make the left alt button the shoot key, you can make your middle mouse button shoot, you could make it whatever you want. That's a freedom that the PC can afford you. But you're referring to a scenario that just doesn't exist.
Imagine you hit T,
Which would be pretty darn difficult to do by accident.
and imagine you hit T by accident. Like that would be annoying.
The only time you would hit T by mistake is maybe if you were typing and made a misspelling.
In the Xbox and PlayStation, including Wii, you have 4 buttons that you cannot hit one like by accident.
Well, there are more than 4 buttons, but of course you could hit one by accident. I mean, your thumb is responsible for all those buttons.
Now, let me start this off.
It's a bit late for that.
Consoles are way cheaper than PCs.
Well, this has been discussed in other videos. I won't rehash it again, but yeah, they can be. My personal suggestion is that you spend more so you can get far more. But there are plenty of budget builds you can find right here on YouTube.
Like you go to the store and then you're like, whoa, Alienware, yeah.
Well, Alienware is sort of its own joke for very expensive, unnecessarily expensive, in fact, gaming solutions on PC. I would never, ever, ever suggest anybody buy Alienware. I mean, it's almost a meme at this point. You slap the Alienware logo on something, it means it's overpriced. It's like Apple in a way. It's way too much money for what you're getting, but the marketing is on point. It looks sleek. It looks powerful. It caters to the demographic of people who want something powerful and don't mind spending way too much money for it. They capitalize on that. Anyone who knows anything about computers will probably generally advise you do not buy an Alienware product. You don't walk into a car dealership and say, "Whoa, a Ferrari," and then tell everybody that that's what the price of a car is. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. No. It's the same thing with Alienware.
But then since the guy is telling you it's $2,000, you just want to leave the store.
Yes, that's what you should do. You should leave the store.
And like you just want to leave the store and buy a PS4 instead and slash Xbox One. And like for $2,000, you can get like a really good value PS4 for $249.
I don't think that sentence makes much sense. But if you're in the budget of $2,000 for a gaming PC, anything you get, unless you seriously don't know what you're doing, will just stomp any console on the market, including the Scorpio when it comes out.
You can get an Xbox One S for $299 rather than the Alienware that starts from $2,000. There's just
Alienwares don't start at $2,000. Laptops that are thousands of dollars, Alienware laptops, for instance, that give you high-performance gaming in a mobile platform like a laptop, they're not generally for the general consumer, generally, in a general sense. I would go to say that they're specialty items. That's why there's a reason that companies will make a laptop that costs $5,000, $8,000, because people will buy them. Not many, but people will buy them.
that is just a pain, and it's just annoying spending more money on something that is even worse.
But it's not. The performance is better on the PC. The graphics look better on the PC. Customizability is better on the PC. Games are moddable. Games are cheaper. You have access to more services. You have the ability to personalize to your heart's content. You can have multiple platforms and operating systems. You can pay more, and I suggest you pay more out of the gate. I suggest you pay more. However, the returns that you will get on PC for that starting investment and for the money that you choose to put into it, I believe you get far more out of it than you do with a console. I think when you get older and you start having a more steady source of income, and when you start weighing the costs to the benefits, and when you are familiar, more so, with how PCs operate, with how their performance actually looks and feels, you might see the PC one day as a more attractive option for your gaming needs.
Now, let me talk about games. You'd be like, PC has better games.
That is subjective.
Consoles have way more games.
That is not subjective.
When you go in a store, it's like you have there's like big names, Xbox, PlayStation, with huge shelves and infinite games.
Alright, you're saying like, but you're not comparing two things. But I think saying an infinite amount of games is a little hyperbolic. Especially because for both platforms, there are many games that just don't have physical copies. They're download only. A lot of indie games, for instance, are like this. There's a huge amount of games out there that you will never ever find in a box at the store.
On the PC, there's just a small shelf of games, and that is really annoying.
Well, over 90% of PC games are purchased and downloaded digitally. So there's a reason why, and you'll understand this as you get a little older, but the way that these markets work, the way that a store operates, is that it's reactionary to what the needs of the consumer are. If all of a sudden, people who gaming on PC go into the store and they look for PC games and can't find them, the store will recognize that there is a need to display physical copies of PC games out in the open for the PC gamers coming in to buy. However, this doesn't happen. There's no need for a store to have a large display of PC games when the vast majority of PC purchases of games are done digitally. The reason that stores still have these huge cases and racks and cupboards full of physical discs for console games is because console gamers keep going into the store to buy them.
And also that the PC has less exclusive games.
Alright, again, you just don't know what you're talking about here. Maybe someone told you this, maybe you're just not aware of what titles are on the PC. This happens a lot with console gamers because they don't have access to the same genres we on PC do. You have the RTSs and the MOBAs and things like that, the strategy games that profit from the ability to use a mouse and keyboard. In fact, they practically require it. So these genres don't really come to mind when a console gamer talks about games. MOBAs, MMOs, these arena shooters, they are, whether you like them or not, the #1 games in the world. Everything from Counter-Strike Go to Dota to League of Legends to World of Warcraft, these are the biggest games in the world. They don't exist on the console. So even though they are the biggest, most popular games in the world, console gamers just don't even think about them because it just doesn't exist on their platform. However, saying the PC doesn't have more exclusives is just factually wrong. And it's not close at all. It's just not close at all. It's not, a comparison can't even be made, really. It's a blowout. There's not even an argument to be had here. Unless you're an idiot. I've been down this road many times before. You can go to Wikipedia and take a look at PC games and it tells you whether or not games are exclusives or not. There are countless articles about it, like this one from PC World. I think you're just young, and you're not informed, and you don't understand how expansive the library is of games on the PC. Maybe you've heard horror stories about how PC gaming used to be, in the dark days that are long behind us. But long story short, the PC has the most exclusive games by a huge margin.
The PC, like Xbox, let me talk about the exclusive games of Xbox and PlayStation. Gears of War.
Gears of War is not an Xbox exclusive. It's on PC. In fact, it has crossplay, which is permanent now. On Windows 10, you can play with Xbox console gamers. And there were some interesting stats I found too, like over 90% of all matches during the weekend included a mix of Windows 10 and Xbox One players. And Windows 10 users played for almost twice as long in terms of matches. Plus, these cross-platform lobbies actually improve the quality of matches because they had a higher average user count and players completed more social matches than before there was crossplay.
Forza Motorsport 6.
Which is also on the PC.
Forza Horizon 3.
That's also on the PC.
I can still go on, but I don't know many more.
Well, the days of Xbox exclusives are, well, they're gone. Microsoft is unifying Windows 10, the PC, Xbox, all together. So, games that are coming out for Xbox are coming out for PC, and games that they're releasing for PC are coming out for Xbox.
And PlayStation. Little Big Planet. Uncharted 4. Drive Club. And what else? Yeah, and that's it.
PlayStation 4 still does have exclusives to its name, though many of the old PlayStation exclusives are available on PC through the streaming service PS Now. I reckon it's not too long until PlayStation 4 games do this as well, either with timed exclusivity on the console, or when the next iteration of PlayStation comes out. If there is one, I think there's a good chance they will be available on the PC too. But just like with Nintendo, PlayStation does have exclusives, just like the PC has exclusives. Which ones are better? It's up to you to decide, that's purely subjective. But again, the list of exclusives on the PC you can't get anywhere else, well, that's a titanically larger list.
But I can still think of plenty more. Rather than PC that doesn't have any exclusive games, and that's just annoying. The PC doesn't have any exclusive games. I'm not being sarcastic. It doesn't have any. Like the PCs are just like copying games from consoles. Now, now, lastly, but definitely not least, is the PC is like speaking about money. You need like a big keyboard and like a big freaking mouse.
I don't really know what money has to do with this part in particular, but if you want to bring up money and the type of peripherals you have on PC, well, you'll find that there are a lot of mini keyboards that don't have number pads or arrow keys. They're mini keyboards. And even mice can come in very small sizes. The Logitech G600 that I have is a pretty small mouse as well. Oh, and that's not my hand either.
For a console, you just need the controller. That's it. That's it. You just need a controller. You're done. You just get a controller, rather than getting, a PC, a keyboard, and a mouse. That may not seem like much, but you need a mouse for like every PC, and for consoles, you just need controller.
Well, mice and keyboard combinations are actually far cheaper than gaming controllers do when they're new. You can spend as much as you want on them, though. You can get everything from $100+ keyboards or mice to everything down to $15, $32, $28. Just depends on what you're looking for and how much your budget is. And technically, you don't need a mouse to play a lot of games on PC. You can get away with using a trackpad or the touchpad that comes with laptops, for instance, or that is built into keyboards sometimes. But don't expect to be going toe-to-toe with people in shooters without one. But you have to bear all this in mind. PC lets you use both the controller and the mouse and keyboard. Even I do that on occasion.
Now, now I still haven't finished yet, so since I said it's least, I'm sorry, but there's extra. Just one more, I promise. Consoles are like much smaller than PCs, man.
Well, yeah, sometimes they absolutely are. In fact, they usually are, though if the form factor of a PC is your most important concern, which it probably isn't for most people, I would imagine, but if it is, well, you actually have a very large variety of small form-fitting PCs that are out there on the market. Though granted, for the more high-end stuff, your case does just need a sheer amount of room to house, namely the power supply unit and the graphics card, which have to be big to cool themselves and to house the power it takes to run games at their fullest potential. Mine is really big, but, I mean, how often do I actually go about moving my desktop? Not very often at all. It's very rare.
I mean, what the hell? Like, the PC has like this huge monitor that's just like out of the way, but
Alright, a moment ago you were saying that the televisions were better because they were larger. Now you're saying that the smaller monitors of PCs are in the way. They're actually not really in the way. How many times do you actually pick up and move your monitor? Maybe you adjust a setting every once in a while, but for the most part, televisions and monitors are interacted with at a distance. They're mostly viewed. And I can't imagine there are many gamers out there who are constantly saying, well, my screen is getting in the way. But if you're going to count it against a computer monitor, which you yourself counted as a negative the fact it was smaller, if you're going to count it against it that it's in the way, then you're going to have to apply the same standard to a television set, which as you said are much larger. So does that mean that since they're larger, they get in the way even more? It's worth being self-aware when you make a point about something that the person you're debating against can't say the exact same thing against something you've said prior to it.
when the Xbox One came out in 2013, it was like
An absolute PR industry fiasco disaster zone. Oh, I recall.
the people were arguing that it was big, but
I think to the average consumer, the actual size of the console itself is not a very big concern. Unless the size of the thing is outlandish on either side, small or large, it's not really a big deal. There are far more important things to consider, like what games are available on it, what's the price, what are the specs, things that matter far more.
then when they made the Xbox One S in 2016, it looks much nicer, and it's in like a way smaller design and 40% smaller.
Yeah, it is 40% smaller. That's strange. That actually checks out. You're correct. And it's a little odd. It's so strange that you have really no concept of what the PC is and how it operates and what you can do with it, but you know specifically that the Xbox One Slim is 40% smaller than its predecessor. It makes me wonder where you're getting your gaming information from. You said almost everyone else in your class or the friends you hang out with are PC players. Well, you're not getting your information from them. Are you getting it from Xbox or console sites? Are you reading headlines or buzzwords from people on Twitter? I really would like to know where you're getting your information, to where you know something as specific as something is 40% smaller than something else, but you don't think PC has any exclusive games.
With PCs, you're stuck with the like with the big height, and there's no slims.
PCs come in a wide variety of different sizes and designs.
Thank you for watching. I hope if you prefer PCs and watch this video, I hope that you prefer consoles now.
I definitely do.
I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Alrighty, that's the end of the video. Again, don't go looking for this video. You don't need to go over there and harass this kid or anything like that. But when I saw this video and I listened to the points that he was making, they were really basic. They were really obvious. They're the kinds of things that anybody could debate or refute. There were things that were just flat out wrong. I think he's just really, really misinformed about the PC. I just think he brought up a lot of points that you might hear yourself or you might see yourself. They were broad for the most part, they weren't very nuanced. If you do want to hear more from me, though, in between videos and such, you can follow me on Twitter, at YourPalRags. It's just splendid. I'm just having a gay old time on Twitter. It's fantastic. And yes, I do main Bastion, so you can suck my cock.